video, I'm going to share with you today about how I studied vocabulary for Eiken first grade. I've taken this exam for several times. When I first tried the exam, it was when I was a college student. Unfortunately, I failed, but I spent a lot of time trying to memorize a huge vocabulary. So I know many people struggle with memorizing all the vocabulary, so I thought I would share how I did. And when I finally passed, it was about 5 years ago. I was still in Japan and I never studied abroad. I worked full-time and I still managed to take my time for study. So, yes. Okay, so 3 topics: categorize, associate, study for a short time every day. So that picture is actually from my Facebook. When I passed it, finally got the letter from Eiken Association saying I passed. Yes, I was super excited. And then few tips. So about using Japanese and also learning correct pronunciation. So first topic is to categorize. So when you study vocabulary, first thing you do is to buy a book. Then it's random. Some books start from, so you see English words and Japanese meaning next to them. Then some books just the order is random, but is how often you see in the past exam. So the words which come in the beginning are most likely to be used in the same in the future exams. So that might help. But it doesn't make any sense in your brain. So what I did, it might help you, is to categorize. For example, think about what category you can put you can put those words into. For example, is it emotions, about jobs, politics, society, environment, science, cooking, could be anything you can think of that helps you to memorize a bunch of words. So everything is related, connected to you. So for example, if it's, you make a category about court. So you put words like judge, law, subpoena. I'm gonna talk about this word subpoena in the next slide. Yes. And if it's about politics, you could put vote, election, campaign. But when I mean categorize, of course you will see like bunch of different types of words first. So you would try to see connection between those words, and then you put everything. So from meaningless to make it meaningful to you, to your brain. So it could be anything that make you easier to remember all this. So associate. I talked about a word subpoena. So it's spelled like this, subpoena. And first time I saw that word, I learned that word was actually when I was watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which was my favorite sitcom. So it's a comedy show in the 90s. When I discovered I was watching all the movies or anything that are related to Will Smith, because I became a big fan of his. So I found his work, which is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, on YouTube, and I kept watching them. Literally binge watching all the time. I even bought DVD boxes. So, and this is a story. So something happened, and some police officer, marshal, he came to visit, and he gave this paper called subpoena to his Will's uncle, who is a judge. And I was watching with English subtitles because there are no Japanese subtitles available. And I could guess what it meant because I know what job he was doing, and also the officer as well. But that scene really helped me remember that word. I mean, I had to look up later on. I was wondering what it meant, and also if I was actually right or not. And then now even though I never use this for subpoena because I'm no lawyer or I don't study law, but I still remember this word because of that scene. So the other way around, when you see the word subpoena, you search in your brain anything that can be connected to that word. For example, if I see subpoena, oh, okay, so this is how and when it was used in that drama. So this is how I remember. So another example, so there is a word called elusive, which means a person or an animal is difficult to catch. So it's a word used to describe people or animals. Anyway, so let's use in this case about describe people. So when you find a word that is used to describe people, you start looking for people who you know. It could be a celebrity, or it could be friends, or someone at school, or someone at work, anyone who you know or you can think of. And think about who could be elusive. And then as soon as I found this meaning, I thought, that must be Anna, because Anna is a musician and she's really fun, super fun, and very friendly and flexible as well. So you try to catch up with her, but you never know where she is. She could be in, I don't know, America if she wanted to. So yeah, she's super flexible. And every time I say, hey, what are you doing? You know, are you doing anything for the weekend, for catch up or anything? And then next thing she tells you is, oh, actually I'm in, I don't know, London, for example. So, I mean, it's not surprising. It's not like I don't get disappointed because I know how she is. So I would make an example saying, Anna is elusive. Okay, so Anna, elusive. So when I see elusive, then I think about Anna. Okay, so that's the word. So I remember that like that. Okay, so few tips finally. So I'm gonna talk about using Japanese and importance of learning correct pronunciation. So like I told you, if you buy a book, you'll see a bunch of English words and the Japanese meanings next to them, which is helpful in the beginning if you're a beginner, because you do not see that many complicated words. But higher your English level gets, more complicated words you see. So just knowing one meaning in Japanese is not sometimes useful. That's actually useless because you don't actually understand the meaning of it. So the best thing is to understand the word in English. But of course I know it's difficult in the beginning. But what you can do is to use also not only Japanese English dictionary, but also English dictionary, so you can understand how you would explain only in English, or like a nuance to it. So it's good and bad, but try to use more English dictionary. And of course, the main point of memorizing vocabulary is to be able to use it in the future. I don't know if you are just doing English exam for your school or to pass, to go to school or whatever, but so many people speak English nowadays in the world. Why not spend your time, not waste your time just remembering, if you are studying, it's better to do so that in the future you can actually use it. So that's what I think. And right, learning correct pronunciation. So that's another thing. So this is one of the main issues in Japan, English education in Japan. So because we are so focused on exams, we tend to forget that English is actually used. It's a communication tool, as other people say. So it doesn't make sense if you are creating your own pronunciation when you have access to YouTube or electronic dictionary, then you can listen to what actually sounds like. So if I may give you an example, let's say there is a word chaos. So it's spelled CHAOS. But somehow some people think it's chaos. When students memorize that word, somehow some people just created, okay, so it must be chaos. It might be because of Romaji. But when you think about it, when you actually check what the pronunciation is, actually chaos, it's not chaos. So if you remember when you see that word chaos, and then in your brain, okay, so that's chaos. But in the future, if someone actually says it, chaos, and in your head it's like chaos, I don't know what it is, but you learned that word. Think you don't know it because you never learned the correct pronunciation. Then again, it might be helpful in the short run, but in the future you have to remember you have to memorize the correct pronunciation again. So why would you waste your time? You're already doing the study, but you're actually doing like useless. It's part of your study pathway, but still. So that's what I think as well. Okay, so finally, what exactly I did before the exam. You might want to know if you're working full-time and how can you manage to study when you're busy. So when I passed the exam, I worked as an English teacher, so I taught lessons in the evening, and then in the morning I worked at the company's headquarters. So I worked from 10 to about 2 to 3, and then had a break. Then I went to schools to teach lessons. So looking back, I couldn't do it anymore, but I was able to do it. Maybe I guess I was, motivated enough. I think my students motivated me. Anyway, so what I did, I always carried my vocabulary book in my bag because I commuted on the train. So I always had at least 30 minutes every day. And of course, from home to the company, and then company to, somewhere in between, get off, and then that place to the school. So I was always on the train. I know I'm lazy, so I know I never spent time studying at home, and I was super tired after work. So I would just flip through the vocabulary book And yeah, when you do, you don't try to set a goal. Like for example, you decide, okay, today I'm gonna learn just 10 words and then I will make it perfect. Then you do it every day. No, you don't do that, because people tend to forget things. That's why you forget all that bad memory, so that's good for you. But so you should know. What I did was just flip through, and if you can go through till the end of the book, that'd be great. And then more often you see the words, then you get more chances to see the words, to memorize the words. And also during breaks, so I said I worked in the morning and also in the evening, and I always had like a few hour break in between. Then it was my lunch break or time to prep for my classes. So during that time, I like to go to one of my favorite cafes. I always like having coffee and discovering new coffee shops. So I went there, had coffee, sometimes just lunch, then after lunch, then after my prep is done, I would just spend my time studying for Eiken. Having coffee is my good incentive. So what exactly I did was, so because I'm a visual learner, I like to learn by looking at things. And also I like handwriting. So I have my notebook or piece of paper. So I actually do mock exam or like quizzes from the book. They're from the Eiken book. Or just write down the words, and I would use English dictionary and write meaning to it. It may be a waste of time, but it works for me. I don't know, I tend to, for example, when I see new people, then this person says to me, oh, hi, I'm Kevin, for example. And I tend to forget if I just hear, but when I see a name tag or if I ask him to write down his name, and when I see the spelling, I tend to remember it better. So I think I'm a visual learner. Just for your information, you might know, but there are 4 types of learners. Some people are visual learners or auditory, so learn by listening, or there's tactile learning, so by touching, or kinesthetic by moving your body. So depending on how you learn the best, you should know what works best for you. Alright, so that's about it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer. And I'm also curious to know how you did different tips as well. Alright, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.